It was the kind of night that belonged to small towns. Quiet, star-sprinkled skies, the hum of crickets, and a calm that suggested nothing could possibly go wrong. But for Madison Scott, a bright-eyed 20-year-old from Vanderhoof, British Columbia, May 28, 2011, would be her last night seen alive. Her disappearance would ignite one of Canada's most haunting mysteries, a case that still unsettles an entire community and leaves her family torn between hope and despair. Now hit the subscribe button and like this video to help us bring you more true crime stories. Now let's dive into it. Madison Scott. Maddy, to those who knew her best, was full of energy, warmth, and that contagious laughter that filled every room. She was adventurous but also deeply loyal to her friends and family. Her mother, Dawn, often described her as fearless, with a spark you couldn't ignore. Maddy had dreams of becoming a photographer. She loved capturing life in its rawest forms, moments of joy, chaos, and beauty. But on the night she disappeared, her life became a photograph that no one could ever fully develop. It was a Saturday night at Hogsback Lake, a popular campsite just 25 kilometers south of Vanderhoof. Young people often gathered there, music blaring, beer bottles clinking, campfires glowing. It was supposed to be just another night of fun, the kind Maddy had enjoyed many times before. That evening, she drove her white 1994 F-150 pickup truck to the lake, towing her camping gear. A large gathering was already underway, with nearly 50 young people scattered across the area. Maddy set up her tent, eager to join the celebration. Witnesses later said she was cheerful, laughing, dancing, and mingling. Nothing about her suggested danger was looming. But as the night grew darker and the crowd began to thin, something shifted. By 2:30 a.m., most of the partygoers had left. Some people packed up early because of a fight that had broken out. Others left simply because it was late and the alcohol was running dry. Maddy, however, decided to stay, alone. Her closest friend had chosen to leave earlier, offering Maddy a ride home. But she declined. She said she'd sleep in her tent and head home in the morning. No one knows what truly happened after that. What we do know is chilling. By the time dawn broke on May 29th, Madison Scott had vanished. Her tent stood abandoned. Her pickup truck was still parked where she left it. But Maddy was gone without a trace. When Maddy didn't return home the next day, her family grew worried. At first, her mother thought maybe she had slept in or gone with friends. But by late morning, panic began to sink in. Maddy wasn't answering her phone. She wasn't posting on social media. And she wasn't at work. Something completely out of character for the responsible, reliable young woman. Her father, Eldon, decided to drive out to Hogsback Lake. What he found would haunt him forever. Her tent was still up. Her truck was still parked. Inside, personal items like her purse and keys remained untouched. Even more unsettling, her cell phone, something she never left behind, was inside the truck. But Madison was gone. The search begins. Word spread like wildfire through Vanderhoof. Volunteers, police officers, and search and rescue teams poured into the area. Helicopters circled overhead. Dogs combed through the dense woods. Boats scoured the lake. For days, the search stretched on. Hundreds of people turned up to help. But every hour that passed without answers felt like a clock ticking toward tragedy. Eldon and Dawn clung to hope. She wouldn't just leave, Dawn insisted. Something happened to her, and she was right. As investigators pieced together her last hours, disturbing questions surfaced. Did someone at the party lure Madison away? Was she abducted by a stranger passing through the area? Or did she willingly leave with someone she trusted? Someone who later betrayed her. Rumors swirled around town. Some claimed there had been tension at the party. Others whispered about drug activity, jealousy, and hidden feuds. But no solid lead emerged. The most haunting detail? No one heard a scream. No one saw her leave. She had simply disappeared into the night. As weeks turned into months, the Scott family refused to give up. They plastered Maddy's face on posters, organized vigils, and begged for information. Please, Dawn cried in one televised plea. "If you know where my daughter is, come forward. She deserves to come home." But silence echoed louder than their pleas. The tight-knit community of Vanderhoof grew tense. Fear crept in. Parents warned their daughters not to go out alone. People locked their doors earlier at night. Everyone wondered, could one of us be hiding a terrible secret? Investigators kept combing through evidence. Madison's abandoned campsite was carefully examined. The tent showed no signs of a struggle. The truck was undisturbed. It was as if she had simply stepped out for a moment and vanished into thin air. But there were whispers, strange vehicles spotted that night, suspicious individuals at the party, inconsistencies in some witness statements. Still, nothing definitive. Years passed, and with every year, the shadow of Madison's disappearance grew darker. For her parents, the hardest part wasn't just that their daughter was gone. It was the silence that followed. No ransom note, no confirmed sightings, just an endless void of unanswered questions. Dawn often sat in Madison's room, surrounded by her photographs and belongings, whispering, "Where are you, Maddy?" Her father, Eldon, kept searching the woods, the back roads, the places no one else thought to look. "I can't stop," he said, "because what if she's out there waiting?" The RCMP, Royal Canadian Mounted Police, insisted the case was active. They interviewed hundreds of people, followed countless leads, and even issued a $100,000 reward for information. But still no answers. To this day, Madison Scott's disappearance remains one of the most disturbing and baffling mysteries in Canadian history. But here's where things get truly chilling. Years after Madison vanished, a startling development would shake the case wide open. A discovery so shocking that it would force everyone to re-examine what really happened at Hogsback Lake that night. Because after more than a decade of silence, Madison's story wasn't over, and what investigators found would prove that she hadn't simply walked away. The mystery of Madison Scott had haunted Vanderhoof for over a decade. For 12 long years, her family lived in limbo, caught between hope and despair. They clung to the belief that she might still walk through the door one day. But deep down, they feared the truth was far darker. Then, in the summer of 2023, everything changed. It was May 28, 2023, an eerie coincidence. Exactly 12 years to the day since Madison disappeared. That morning, the RCMP received a call from a rural property on the outskirts of Vanderhoof. The landowners, while working the property, had stumbled upon something strange, something that stopped them cold. At first, they thought it might be animal remains. But as they looked closer, the horrifying truth began to surface. They had found human remains, the RCMP's chilling confirmation. For days, investigators worked quietly, carefully recovering evidence. The property was sealed off. Forensic teams combed every inch of the ground. Speculation swirled through the community. Whispers spread like wildfire. Could it be Maddy? On May 29, 2023, the RCMP made the heartbreaking announcement. The remains had been positively identified. They belonged to 20-year-old Madison Scott. When Dawn and Eldon heard the news, their world collapsed. For 12 years, they had prayed, begged, and pleaded for answers. Now they had one, but it wasn't the one they wanted. Dawn later admitted that she had always feared this outcome, yet a small piece of her clung to hope. "At least we know," she whispered through tears. "At least she's not out there alone anymore." The community mourned alongside them. Vigils were held. Candles were lit. Photos of Maddy, smiling and carefree, were placed beside flowers and handwritten notes. But grief wasn't the only emotion that filled the air. There was also anger. Because Madison Scott had been found, yes, but her killer? Still out there. The property where Madison's remains were discovered wasn't far from where she vanished. It was a place known to locals, tucked away but not unreachable. How could she have been so close all this time? Had someone hidden her there deliberately, right under the noses of searchers? Even more disturbing, did someone in Vanderhoof know all along? With the discovery of Madison's remains came more questions than answers. Who brought her there? Was it someone from the party at Hogsback Lake? Did she trust the person who ultimately betrayed her? And the most haunting question of all, what really happened during those final hours of her life? The RCMP remained tight-lipped, releasing only fragments of information. They confirmed that Madison's death was being investigated as a homicide. But beyond that, silence. For her family, silence felt like a second form of cruelty. The small town of Vanderhoof had always carried the weight of Madison's disappearance. But now, with the revelation of her murder, suspicion and paranoia returned in full force. Was the killer walking among them? Attending the same stores, the same events, even standing at the same vigils? Everyone had theories. Some pointed to strangers, others to acquaintances. Some insisted it was a crime of opportunity. Others whispered it was personal. But with every theory came a chilling reality. The killer had managed to keep a deadly secret for 12 years. Eldon and Dawn Scott, though broken by grief, refused to give up. "We have Maddy back," Eldon said at a press conference. "But now we need justice. Someone out there knows the truth. Someone knows what happened to my daughter." Their plea wasn't just for closure. It was for accountability. Because the thought of Madison's killer living free was unbearable. And yet, despite the RCMP's promises, no arrest has been made. Not yet. Cold cases are a different kind of nightmare. They linger in shadows, waiting for one mistake, one slip of the tongue, one guilty conscience to finally break the silence. But in Madison's case, 12 years had passed without that slip. Whoever did this, whoever took her, murdered her, and buried her, had remained in control. And that makes them dangerous. Still, investigators believe time can be an ally. Secrets don't stay buried forever. Madison Scott's story is not just about one girl. It's about the fragility of safety, even in places that feel secure. It's about how evil can hide in plain sight. It's about a family who lived 12 years in torment, only to be met with another kind of pain. But the story is not over. Because the discovery of Madison's remains is not the ending. It's the beginning of a new chapter. Somewhere out there, someone knows what happened at Hogsback Lake. Somewhere out there, someone knows who took Madison Scott's life. And as investigators close in, one thing becomes clear. The person responsible may not be able to hide much longer. So we're left with this haunting question. After 12 years of silence, a body was found. But will the truth finally come out? Or will Madison's killer slip away into the darkness forever? Let us know what you think in the comment section below, and hit the subscribe button for more chilling true crime story.